Good day everyone, and welcome to this instruction movie about information about pipelines. As you know, Majops is about organized pipeline scripting. And what's very important, you have to know what pipelines are. What is a pipeline? What is the definition? According to Wikipedia, the definition is as follows: a chain of processing elements arranged so that the output of each element is input of the next element. What kind of elements do you think? That's an element like a processing unit, or a script, or a thread, etc. Here, a simple pipeline is shown. What does this pipeline do? It has some input, and that input is given to the process input reader. The input reader processes and analyzes the input and gives its output as input to the process filter. The filter filters these data, and the output of filter goes as input to the processor. The processor processes the data, and the output of processor goes to formatter as input. The data has been formatted, and when it's formatted, the output of it goes to output writer as input, and ultimately the output of output writer is saved. And then the pipeline has run. But how is a pipeline in reality? Here we have another example. Here you can see some oil from the ground, and oil is used for driving cars, but it can also be used to make transparent plastic bottles, for example, to put water in it. And how do you make some transparent plastic bottles? Well, first you have to do some steps, and each step has a specific process, and all these processes can be chained. Each process can be visualized by a pipe. Here you can see in very many pipes, and each pipe represents a process of itself. And each process has input and output, but the output of this first pipe goes to the next pipe as input, etc. And you can chain these pipes together, you connect them to each other, with the result that you get a chain of pipes in a pipeline. And this is the pipeline. The oil goes into here, it's processed, and ultimately you will get the transparent plastic bottles at the end of the pipeline. Here are the transparent plastic bottles, and you can put water in it. In software engineering, there are two types of pipelines. You've got single pipelines and multiple pipelines. What's a single pipeline? The definition is as follows: a single pipeline is a pipeline that runs on only one computer. So you have a zip file with the name, for example, the plastic bottles creator pipeline. You extract the zip file. You've got many scripts. You can start the pipeline by calling the bash script by bash start, the name of the pipeline. So bash start plastic bottles creator pipeline, and the pipeline is running. The other type of pipelines, multi-pipeline, is as follows. It's called multiple pipeline. It's a pipeline that generates other pipelines. So you run the pipeline as jobs for other computers in a supercomputer or in a grid cluster of computers, where each job gets a specific task depending on the data it has to process. So you can imagine you start a pipeline by start and then generating the pipeline. It investigates the data that is present, that has to process for the supercomputer or in a grid cluster of computers. And all the smaller pipelines that is made by the major pipeline will be submitted to the computers in a supercomputer or a grid cluster of computers. Here's a demonstration how a single pipeline works. Here you have data, input data, all kinds of data. These have to be processed, and you want output. These are the outputs or graphs or plots you want to have from this data. And the first sort of single pipeline you have is this called straight pipeline. So you process the data you have, and immediately you get the results. Unfortunately, this straight way of a single pipeline is not very common in the world. Most pipelines have to convert the data to interim data. So here we have interim data. These are made from other types of data. So these are taken, and the first process, each arrow represents a process or a pipeline, goes to interim data. And the interim data can be converted to other graphs and plots. But in the most cases of pipelines, the data have to be converted to more interim data. There's only one, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4 steps of interim data before you get the final result. Let's see. You can see it here. These two data sets are necessary to generate data. This type, then you get the first type of interim data, then the second, the third, and the fourth, and finally you get the results you want to have. These are the single pipeline types you have. How does a multiple pipeline works? A multiple pipeline, as I told you before, is a pipeline that generates other pipelines, and it looks at the data it has, and then the pipeline it generates will be a job on one of the computers in the supercomputer. Now, what happens here? Here you have types of data. Here you have some data, there you have some data, and there. And the pipeline runs. That represents the major pipeline, and it investigates the first data set. Now, when it has done it, according to these data, it generates a minor pipeline, and this minor pipeline is supposed to work only on this set of data. Nothing more, nothing less. You can submit it, and the data will be processed on one of the computers here, and the supercomputer. The major pipeline will investigate the second data set and will generate a smaller minor pipeline only specific for this data set. Then the third data set is investigated, and then the third minor pipeline is made for it, and all these three pipelines can be submitted as jobs to the supercomputer, where what happens is that the pipeline has some settings, and these settings are representative to the data set which it has to process. So when you have a small data set, the minor pipeline and its data will be processed on a relative small computer inside the supercomputer. When you've got big data, you've got a big minor pipeline, and all these data and pipeline will be processed on a big and fast computer in the supercomputer. This was my presentation about pipelines. Thank you for your attention.